setup and like the music stands and stuff like that. The side camera seems to be getting the better shots.
Okay, so
tonight.
that'll be the one we'll focus on. Okay, good. Works for me.
I'll make a brief mention around about the moon that people were saying that were we reading Torah on this Chag, it would be including the Song of the Sea. This is a
Chag samei'ach, everyone. We are so glad that you can join us here for Yizkor, for Erev Passover services in honor and in observance of the seventh day of Passover. If you are joining us online, which I presume you are, there is a link in the video description for our prayer book. It's a flip book version of Mishkan Tefillah. So please join us as we welcome this beautiful beginning of the final days of Passover. And we begin with music.
So as we're entering this last day of Chag, were we reading from the Torah on this final day of Chag, we would be including the Song of the Sea. And so this is a nigun, a melody that kind of evokes those rolling waves. Yai, lai, 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 yada, lai, 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 lai. Yai, lai, 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 yada, lai, 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 lai. Once more. Yai, lai, 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 yada, lai, 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 lai. Yai, lai, 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 yada, lai, 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 lai. Yai, lai, 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 yada, lai, 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 lai. Yai, lai, 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 yada, lai, 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 lai. Again, yai, lai. Yai, lai, yai, lai, 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 yada, lai, 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 lai. Yai, lai, yai, lai, 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 yada, lai, 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 lai. Yada, lai, yada, lai, 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 la, la, lai. Yada, lai, yada, lai. Yai, lai, 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 yada, lai, yada, lai. Yai, lai, la, la, lai, yada, lai, yada, lai. Yai, lai, lai, lai. Yai, lai, 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 yada, lai, 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 lai. Yai, lai, 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 yada, lai, 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 lai. Yai, lai, 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 yada, lai, 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 lai. Yai, lai, 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 yada, lai, 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 lai. Yada, lai, yada, lai, yai, lai, la, la, lai. Yada, lai, yada, lai, yai, lai, 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 yada, lai, yada, lai, yai, lai, la, la, lai. Yada, lai, yada, lai, yai, lai, lai, lai.
The Torah tells us to eat matzah for 7 days at this time of year. And it's a continuing demand of this season as we continue recognizing this bread is simple nutrition. It is simple stuff. Yes, we call it the bread of deprivation sometimes, or we also do call it the bread of simplicity because all it has is flour and water, not the yeast, not the puffiness of ego, not the enlarging of our place in society. It's just simple who we are. And so as we consume this matzah, we do have to recognize that there exists in the world people with not even that kind of simple food to eat, not even that simple food. And so we have to help alleviate the poverty that we see. But we also have to think about ourselves and the importance of seeking the simplicity and the simple things in life. It means to make room for others in our lives, in our places, in our community. reminds me of a Musar teaching, which is no more than our space, but no less than our place. That is, let us achieve what we need and not to give way to less than what we deserve. But we're here to be for ourselves, and we are here to be for the world. Let us be able to do that at this season and in many other seasons as well. We want to invite you to turn to page 385, and we offer blessings for this season of lighting our holiday candles. Again, on page 385. O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu
Melech haolam asher Kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel yom tov Blessed are you who commands us to kindle the lights of Yom Tov.
of Yom Tov.
We once in the Reform movement decided to take the Passover Seder and take out really two steps of the Seder. We once decided that hand washing may not have been for us, we Reformed Jews of former days, who were a little concerned that it was too priestly, that it was too ritualistic, perhaps. I don't know exactly. I can't explain the whole rationale of our reforming ancestors. But I can tell you, as we add it back into our Seder, we're not concerned so much with ritual purity, and we're not concerned with hygiene so much, although we certainly are concerned in this pandemic world. But we are concerned with the purity and the cleanliness of the souls that we harbor within, because that soul interacts with this whole world. And we have to act with purity within the world, and we can also serve as those who set an example for purity to others who watch us, who emulate us perhaps, or who wish to even join our communities. So we wish ourselves, again, the pureness of thinking and the pureness of our actions that really allow us to be good people in this world and allow the world to see us as exemplars of behavior for everyone's benefit. We continue on page 392 as we invite people to rise. We continue with Reader's Kaddish, page 392.
Yitkadal ve'yitkadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Ve'alemad yivrach chirutei ve'yamlich malechutei b'chayechon u'vyomeichon u'b'chayei dechol beit Yisrael. Bagala, uvizman kariv, veimeru.
Amen. Yehi Shemei Rabbah mevarach, le'alam ulal me'al maya, yitbarach.
Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnasei v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei tekudshah v'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata Slichata v'nechemata damiran be'alma ve'imeru Amen.
A call to worship, page 394.
Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach leolam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach leolam va'ed.
On page 396, praised are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzevaot is your name. Forever, O ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity.
Uma'avir yom u'mevi layla umavdil ben yom u'ben layla Adonai tzevaot shemo el chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed Baruch ata Adonai Hama'ariv Aravi.
Amen. On 398, you can read it if you like along with me. Everlasting love, you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai, our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us.
Ki hem chayenu ve'orech yameinu uvahem nehege yomam v'layla ve'avatecha al tasir mimenu le'olamim Baruch ata Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Amen. Page 400.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad
Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. We are seated and we continue on page 402 at the top.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha ve'hayu ha'devarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha veshinantam levanecha vedibarta bam beshivtecha beveitecha uvelechtecha vaderech uvshochbecha uvekumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha vehayu letotafot bein einecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tizkeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'item kedoshim Le'Elohechem Ani Adonai Elohechem Asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'Elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem Emet.
On page 405, we continue. Doubting is but a forefront of faith, a faith in the infinite growth of an unbounded creation. A doubting age is one of restlessness and discontent with what is current. A doubt is an idea that is still alive. To doubt that the past has uncovered all things is to express faith that many things are still to be uncovered. To doubt that we have grown to our full stature and knowledge is to express faith that we may develop into beings of such power and dignity that we cannot as yet imagine what shall be. On page 406.
Using that same melody that we sang together at the beginning. I Adonai, mi kamocha edarcha kodesh, nora tehilot osefele, nora tehilot osefele, yadada. Adonai Yaakov, miad chazak mimenu, baruch ata Adonai, Gaal Yisrael.
Amen. On page 409, we continue. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Eternal God, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Blessed is the guardian of Israel, whose love gives light to all the world.
Baruch atah Adonai, hapore sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim.
Amen. The festival Tefillah for this Erev Chag, this Erev of the seventh day of Passover, begins on page 468, and we're going to be offering the tefillah silently tonight. And so as we look to these prayers to hearten us, or as we look to the prayers we have in our own hearts, we know that they can help us face the challenges of a world that is beset by war, that is beset by poverty, that exposes sometimes all the frailties of human and sometimes animal life as well. But we also know that with good companions, with good people around us, with a community that envelops us with its love, we know that we can face these challenges both cheerfully, but more importantly, successfully, that we can help to weather these storms. So we continue on page 468, and we'll eventually meet up with one another on page 492.
Say shalom bimroma, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru Amen. Oseh shalom bimroma, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru Amen. Yalla la 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 la, yalla la la la, yalla la 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 la, yalla lai 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 lai, yalla lai 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 lai. Oh, say shalom imromav, uyase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru. Shalom b'romav, uyaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru
The 49 days between the second day of Passover and Shavuot is an important time for us who are concerned with matters of Jewish purity, matters of Jewish consciousness, as we mark this time period. One of the rabbis of our Hasidic tradition says in order to receive Torah, in order to celebrate Chag HaShavuot, the holiday of Shavuot, in about 40 days or so from now, we have to have a pure heart, a lev tov, a good heart. And in Gematria, the Hebrew words lev tov equals 49. So there's a connection between these 49 days of counting of the Omer and our acquiring in life a good heart. And so we count now, beginning tonight, the 6th day of the Omer, and you can find that on page 570 of the prayer book, Cantor.
Yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai. Hineni mukhan u'mezuman lekayem mitzvat aseh. Hineni mukhan u'mezuman lekayem mitzvat aseh shel sfirat ha'omer, shel sfirat ha'omer, shel sfirat ha'omer, shel sfirat ha'omer.
Behold, here we are ready and prepared to fulfill this mitzvah of counting of the Omer.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sfirat ha'omer, al sfirat ha'omer, al sfirat ha'omer, al sfirat ha'omer.
Our praise to you, Adonai, sovereign of all, who hallows us with mitzvot, with sacred obligations, commanding us to count the Omer. Hayom Yom Shishi, Shehem Shisha Yamim LaOmer.
Yai lai 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 lai
as now we transition into Yizkor, prayers of memory. The word Yizkor itself is a word that means we ask God that our loved ones be remembered. Now, we will remember our loved ones, and we pray that God will help us to do that as well. And as we enter this seventh day of Passover, I think for a few moments about the Haftarah, that is, the words of the prophetic books that will be read tomorrow morning in synagogues all over the world. And interestingly enough, as the cantor mentioned, tomorrow when the Torah reading is the Shirat Hayam. It's the Song of the Sea that the Israelites sang after they successfully traversed on dry land through the waves of the Red Sea. This Haftarah tomorrow, too, is an epic. It's a poem. It's a song, which actually orthographically, it's the same, written in the same kind of style as the Shirat Hayam is in the books, in the manuscripts of the books of the prophets. And it's this particular song that King David offered to God after a very conclusive battle with the Philistines. He was able to retrieve the bones and the bodies of his friend Jonathan and Jonathan's father, Saul, from the Philistines, and was able to bury them properly. And after this magnificent battle, there is this beautiful song, which interestingly enough has many parallels to the Song of the Sea. It's not simply written in the same way, but there's a specific reference, in fact, when this song says, this is a song to God who splits the sea. He says, the song writes, or David writes, the bed of the sea was exposed, the foundations of the world were laid bare by the mighty roaring of the eternal, by the blast of the breath of God's nostrils. That's the 22nd chapter of the book of 2nd Samuel. So we focus on that for a few moments. But I want to focus on another part of that song, another part of the Haftarah that says, David's prayer to God. He writes, from the midst of my trouble, I called on the eternal. Indeed, I called out to my God, and from God's abode, God heard my voice, and my cry entered God's ears. This thankful paean to a God who rescued Israel from the Egyptians and who rescued David and David's army from the Philistines. And at this moment, David is reaching out. Interestingly enough, he talks both about the community of Israel and his own prayers that they be heard on high. And they were both in terms of something that David had prayed for. That's one of the ways that these translations go, that I called out to God and God responded. But when you read the Hebrew carefully, you see that it is a future tense that is not adjusted by the grammar of the Hebrew Bible that we're familiar with. It simply says in a way that God will hear my plea and God will reach out back up to me. It was both a prayerful approach of thanks and a terms of future request. The commentator Chaim Joseph David Azulai, who was an 18th century commentator, he was born and raised in Jerusalem, so he came to Judaism with a Sephardi mindset, but he traveled all throughout Europe to advise the Jewish communities there. And he says, no, this text is more future-oriented and can be translated from the midst of my trouble. I can or I will call on the eternal. Indeed, I can or will call out to God. From God's abode, God will hear my voice, and God will hear my cry, and my pleas will enter God's ears. And it makes me think, how will God respond to us? How should God respond to us? If we cry out to God, will God respond, and under what circumstances? And I can understand how people at moments of distress will indeed reach out to God. We all do. They say there are no atheists even in foxholes. But at moments of distress, when memories come like they do at Yizkor time, we all do have memories of loved ones, again, particularly at this holiday time. We do confront grief when it is fresh, but also we realize that there is, throughout the rest of our lives, there is yearning, there is a mourning that happens, and we reach out to God sometimes, but we also reach out to those people around us. We reach out to friends who can share our grief and who can help us be consoled even when our time of mourning is long past, because the memories that we summon up in our mind are fresh. They are memories of our loved ones, and sometimes maybe they're exaggerated, and sometimes they are just raw and pure, and they may bring a laugh or they may bring a tear. But still, these words of the Haftarah mean that there is a place that we can turn to when we are in distress, when we are facing these moments of yearning. And whether it's God or whether it's a companion that we walk with in this world, we hope that we find a place where someone will listen to us. We hope that we find a place where we can direct our yearnings and our grief, where someone will pay attention to us. And I think as we walk through this world, I ask that we never overlook either of them, as we recall our loved ones who indeed may have been at some point that listening ear and that source of consolation that now we even miss. And so we say these words in thinking about how God has heard our pleas and God will indeed listen to us in the future. We continue our thoughts and our prayers of Yizkor on page 577 in the prayer book.
A song for ascents, a song for those who are ascending, and a song for those who raise each other up. Shir Lama'alot Esa Einai El Heharim Me'ain Yavo Ezri Me'im Adonai Oseh Shamayim V'aretz Ezri Me'im Adonai Oseh Shamayim V'aretz Ha'itein Lamot Raglecha Al Yarum Shomrecha Hine lo yanu velo yishad Shomei Yisrael Adonai Shomrecha Adonai tzilcha al yad yeminecha Yom hashemesh lo yakeka V'yareach balayla Adonai yishmorcha mikvora Yishmor et nafshecha Adonai yishmor tzeitcha uboecha Me'ata ve'ad olam.
I'm continuing on page 574. Eternal God, what are we that you have regard for us? What are we that you are mindful of us? We are like a breath. Our days are as a passing shadow. We come and go like grass which in the morning shoots up renewed and in the evening fades and withers. You cause us to revert to dust, saying, "Return, O mortal creatures. Would that we were wise, that we understood where we are going. For when we die, we carry away nothing. Our glory does not accompany us. Mark the whole-hearted, and behold the upright, they shall have peace. Eternal God, you redeem the soul of your servants, and none who trust in you shall be desolate." Page 576.
Mizmor LeDavid. Nairoiro Echsa Bino Deshayar Bitseni Al Mei Menuchot Yenach Aleini Nafshi Yeshovev Yancheni V'magle tzedek Le'ma'an Shemo Am ki elei B'geitz al mavet O irara ki ata imati Shivtecha Antecha Emayinach Amuni Ta'aroch lefanai shulchan Neged zorirai Tishanta v'shemen roshi Osiri vaya Ach tov v'chesed yirdifuni Kol yemei chayai V'shavti b'veit Adonai Le'orech Yamim.
At this time of Yizkor, we do indeed remember those loved ones who have gone from our lives. From our Temple Beth El community, at this period of time, we have lost Dr. Michael Becker and Rochelle Frank. Dr. Becker was a member of our congregation, and although Rochelle lived far away, she is beloved and remembered by many here, as is Dr. Becker and all those who have passed away in these recent months. And if we call to mind those loved ones whom we think of, family members, friends, tonight we invite you, too, to think of those who in your friendship and family circle you recall. You may light a yahrzeit candle for them, as is the custom on this last day of Passover in our tradition, or if you're following the 8-day tradition, you might do this tomorrow before sundown, before Shabbat candles, as we remember all of our loved ones. I'm remembering tonight my parents, David and Annette Beich, and I'm remembering my father-in-law, David Margulis, and my brother-in-law, Michael Margulis. And there may be people whom you are remembering as well. Invite them into your mind, invite them into your hearts as we think of them. We think of all that they brought to our lives. And as we continue to remember them, we invite you to turn to page 592 in the prayer book. We continue with El Malei Rachamim. We invite you to rise again.
El Malei Rachamim Shochen Bameromim Hamitzei Menucha Nichona Tachat Kanfei HaShechina Im Kiroshim Uteorim כזוהר הרקיע מזהירים לנשמות יקירינו שהלכו לעולמם. בעל הרחמים יסתירם בסתר כנפיו לעולמים, ויצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתם. אדוני הוא נחלתם, וינוחו בשלום על משכבם, ונאמר Amen.
Fully compassionate God on high, to our loved ones who have entered eternity, grant clear and certain rest with you in the lofty heights of the sacred and pure, whose brightness shines like the very glow of heaven. Source of mercy, forever enfold them in the embrace of your wings, secure their souls in eternity. Adonai, they are yours. They will rest in peace, we say. Amen.
Amen.
On page 586, we continue with Aleinu, and I think we'll go right from there into the mourner's Kaddish.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד ארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינת עוזו בגובהי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. On page 597 is perhaps a prelude to the Kaddish. We remember our people who suffered and died so we could be free and secure. May their memory be more than a distant shadow, for their dreams left unfulfilled and lives taken too soon we remember. Remember our brothers and sisters whose sacrifice kept the dream of democracy and justice alive. May their courage be our inspiration and strength. For life cut short and vision unrealized, we remember. Remember the fallen of our armed services, the victims of terror and tragedy. May the darkness of their loss not obscure the light of peace. They were in love with our land and in love with life. For the agony, the tears, the mothers and fathers, for the children who were and for the children yet to be, we remember. And we continue on page 598 with the mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uvyomechon, uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv, v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'alam ulalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal, shmei dekudsha b'richu. Le'ela min kol bir chata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shmaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom bimromav,
hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru.
Amen.
We may be seated. As a song going into tomorrow, Friday, as a song reminding us again of this season of Pesach, perhaps, we invite you to turn to page 391 as we continue.
And again, this is part, some might know this text better as part of Kabbalat Shabbat on Friday evenings, but it's also the psalm for Shabbat day, or sorry, for Friday, rather, for Friday. And so this is a melody that we haven't necessarily sung with this text before, but we've been singing it all this evening. So hopefully we can join it together, and we'll be in that lower paragraph that starts with the word nas'u. But let's get the nigun back into our bones here. Lai 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 ya la lai la lai 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 ya la lai la lai 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 ya la lai la lai 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 ya la lai la lai 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 ya da da 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 Nasu neharot Adonai, nasu neharot kolam. Nasu neharot Adonai, kisu neharot doch yam. Try that with me. Nasu neharot Adonai, nasu neharot kolam. Nasu neharot Adonai, kisu neharot doch yam. Mikolot mayim rabim, adirim bishmerei yam. Mikolot mayim rabim, adir v'marom Adonai. Mikolot mayim rabim, adirim bishmerei yam. Mikolot mayim rabim, adir v'marom Adonai. Yadadai, 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 yadadai. Eidotecha nemnu me'od, lebeitcha nava kodesh Adonai le'orech yamim. Eidotecha, eidotecha nemnu me'od, lebeitcha nava kodesh Adonai le'orech yamim. Yadadai, 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 yadadai,
Chag samei'ach, everyone. Have a wonderful day. 7th day of Passover tomorrow.
Chag samei'ach.
Chag samei'ach.